Chapter 1. The Fall. Sarah, a woman sculpted by the gods, with curves that could make a saint question his vows, had a secret. A secret so shameful, so potent, it threatened to shatter the foundation of her marriage. She'd betrayed the love of her life, the man who worshipped the ground she walked on, with a fleeting moment of weakness, a slip into the forbidden. The man in question, a brooding Adonis named Ethan, had a heart of gold, a soul that burned with passion, and eyes that could melt glaciers. He was her world, her sun, her moon, and she'd thrown it all away for a night of reckless abandon. She confessed everything. Tears streamed down her face as she poured out her shame, her remorse, her desperate plea for forgiveness. Ethan, ever the gentleman, listened with unwavering patience. His face, a mask of stoicism, betrayed no emotion, except perhaps a flicker of sadness in his sapphire eyes. He agreed to stay, to work through it, to give their love another chance. He was a saint, a god among men, and Sarah was a sinner, undeserving of his grace. Chapter 2. The Whispers of Betrayal. But something had shifted. The warmth of his touch, the depth of his gaze, the spark that had ignited their love, had all been replaced by a chilling indifference. Sarah tried everything, every trick in the book, to reignite the flame. She cooked his favorite meals, bought him extravagant gifts, and offered herself to him with an intensity that burned hotter than the sun. He accepted it all with a polite smile, a gesture of gratitude that felt as hollow as an empty tomb. Then came the late nights, the absences that stretched into the early hours, and the whispered conversations that made Sarah's heart ache. She'd catch him glancing at his phone, a secret smile playing on his lips, his eyes filled with a longing that wasn't meant for her. Chapter 3. The Unmasking. One night, Sarah's world shattered. She found a scarlet rose tucked behind his bedside table, its velvety petals stained with a scent of jasmine and musk. Her fingers trembled as she pulled out the note attached to its stem. "Meet me at the Blue Lagoon tonight. Midnight. Dress in red." It was a call to passion, a promise of a night of reckless abandon, and it was not meant for her. Sarah was consumed by a fire of jealousy, a rage that burned hotter than any inferno. She had to know, she had to see, she had to confront the woman who was stealing her husband's love. Chapter 4. The Revelation. That night, Sarah found herself at the Blue Lagoon, a secluded oasis hidden away in a forgotten corner of the city. She was a vision in scarlet, her red dress clinging to her curves like a second skin, her ruby lipstick a defiant statement of her fury. In the flickering candlelight, she saw him, Ethan, his face illuminated with a passion she hadn't seen in months. He was kissing another woman, a woman with raven hair that cascaded down her shoulders like a waterfall, and eyes that sparkled with a mischievous gleam. Sarah watched, frozen, as they danced, their bodies intertwined in a fiery embrace. The woman was beautiful, a vision of seduction, but Sarah couldn't help but feel a pang of pity for her. She was playing with fire, dancing with a devil in disguise. Chapter 5. The Confrontation. Sarah's rage boiled over. She stormed towards them, her voice a guttural roar that cut through the soft music like a knife. Ethan turned, his face a mask of surprise, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. "Ethan, what is this?" Sarah's voice trembled with fury. "How could you?" Ethan tried to speak, but Sarah cut him off. "I know about her, about the rose, about everything. You're a liar, Ethan. You're a goddamn cheat." The woman, her face painted with shock, stepped back, her eyes widening in fear. She couldn't believe that Sarah had seen them, that her secret had been exposed. "Sarah, please," Ethan pleaded, his voice laced with desperation. "You don't understand." "No, Ethan, I understand perfectly," Sarah spat. "I understand that you're a liar, a traitor, a hypocrite." "She's nothing to me," Ethan insisted. "It's just a fling, a mistake." Sarah laughed, a cold, bitter sound that echoed through the empty room. "A mistake?" she sneered. "She's in your bed, Ethan. She's the reason you're cold to me, the reason you come home late, the reason you're kissing another woman." Chapter 6. The Reckoning. Ethan looked at Sarah, a torrent of emotions swirling in his eyes. He saw the pain, the betrayal, the anger, and a flicker of something else, something dangerous, something that scared him. He knew he had crossed a line, that he had betrayed her trust in the worst possible way. He tried to explain, to justify his actions, but Sarah was not listening. She was consumed by her rage, by the bitter taste of betrayal. "You think you can just lie to me, Ethan?" Sarah hissed. "You think you can cheat on me and I'll just forgive you? You're wrong. I'm done." She turned and walked away, her red dress a blazing trail of fury against the darkened night. She left Ethan and the woman standing there, their faces etched with a mixture of shock and shame. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. The aftermath was brutal. Sarah's world had been shattered. She was lost, broken, and alone. She threw herself into her work, trying to bury her pain under a mountain of deadlines and commitments. But the pain was always there, a constant ache in her heart. Ethan was left with the wreckage of his marriage, a hollow shell of a man haunted by the ghost of his past. He tried to reach out to Sarah to apologize, to beg for another chance, but Sarah had moved on, her heart locked away, her spirit hardened. Chapter 8. The Revelation. Weeks turned into months, and the pain slowly began to fade. Sarah started to rebuild her life, piece by piece. She made new friends, pursued new passions, and discovered a strength she never knew she had. One day, she received a phone call from a woman she'd never met. The woman told her about Ethan, about his secret life, about the woman he was seeing. She told her about the woman's name, her address, everything. Sarah was stunned. She had thought she was moving on, that she had finally put the past behind her. But this revelation brought it all back, the pain, the anger, the betrayal. Chapter 9. The Choice. Sarah was at a crossroads. She could choose to forget, to bury the past and move on with her life. Or she could face her demons, confront the woman who had stolen her husband's love and reclaim what was hers. She chose the latter. She drove to the woman's apartment, her heart pounding in her chest. She had no plan, no strategy, just a burning need for justice, for revenge. Chapter 10. The Reckoning. The woman answered the door, her face etched with surprise. She had no idea who Sarah was, but she could see the fire in her eyes, the fury that consumed her. "I know about you," Sarah said, her voice cold and sharp. "I know about you and Ethan." The woman's face drained of color. I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me," Sarah said, stepping closer. "I know you're the reason Ethan is cold to me, the reason he's been seeing other women. You're the reason my marriage is falling apart." "No, it's not like that," the woman pleaded, her voice trembling. "Ethan and I are just friends." "Friends?" Sarah scoffed. "You're sleeping with him for Christ's sake." "No, I'm not," the woman insisted. "He's just lonely, that's all." Sarah laughed, a bitter sound that cut through the air like a knife. "Lonely?" she echoed. "He's been sleeping with you for months and you're calling that lonely?" Chapter 11. The Dance of Fury. The woman, realizing that Sarah was not going to back down, threw her arms around Sarah's waist, pulling her close. Her eyes, filled with a mixture of fear and desperation, met Sarah's gaze. "Please, Sarah, just go," she begged. "You don't know the whole story." Sarah pushed her away, her rage burning hotter than ever. "I don't need to know the whole story," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "All I need to know is that you stole my husband, that you took him away from me. "No, I didn't," the woman cried. "Ethan was already unhappy. He was already thinking about leaving you." Sarah laughed again, a sound that was filled with pain and bitterness. "You think you can take the blame for this? For the way Ethan treated me? You think you can take responsibility for his actions?" I just... The woman was speechless. She had never met a woman like Sarah before. A woman who burned with such fury. A woman who could make her feel so small, so insignificant. Chapter 12. The Revelation. "I'm going to tell you something," Sarah said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Ethan isn't lonely. He's never been lonely. He's always been a liar, a cheat, a manipulator. He's the one who's been playing you, the one who's been using you." The woman's eyes widened in shock. She had never thought of it like that. She had always believed that Ethan was a good man, a man who was simply looking for love. But Sarah's words made her question everything she had ever thought about him. Chapter 13. The Choice. Sarah looked at the woman, her eyes filled with a mixture of pity and contempt. "You have a choice," she said. "You can continue to be Ethan's little plaything, his little secret. Or you can walk away, leave him behind, and start your own life." The woman stood there, her face etched with a mixture of confusion and fear. She had no idea what to do. She had been so wrapped up in Ethan, so caught up in his lies that she had lost sight of herself. Chapter 14. The Liberation. I don't know," she stammered. "It's okay," Sarah said, her voice softening. "You don't have to know right now. Just think about it. Think about what you really want, what you deserve." Sarah turned and walked away, leaving the woman standing there, her face a mask of uncertainty. She had no idea what the future held, but she knew that she had to make a choice that would define her life. Chapter 15. The New Dawn. Sarah returned to her apartment, her mind racing. She had seen the truth, the ugliness that lay beneath the surface of Ethan's facade. She had also seen the potential for change, the possibility of a new beginning, not just for herself, but for the woman she had just met. She knew that she couldn't erase the pain, the betrayal, the heartache that Ethan had caused, but she also knew that she could choose to move on, to find happiness, to build a life that was filled with love and respect. And she would.